Okay, so here we are. I think that Marcos, of course, needs no introduction. I think, does everybody understand Portuguese? I think English and Portuguese, we'll do a quick translation. Okay, so we're going to, yes, we're going to do Portuguese and then I'll translate, because some people need to have it translated to English. Not everybody speaks Portuguese. Okay, so this man doesn't really need an introduction. He has a career that spans many, many decades. He has done soundtracks for...
Do you like that?
Oh, he doesn't want to know that. He has done soundtracks for TV series, movies, very established soap operas in Brazil, and also has an incredible career as a composer. He has also tapped into progressive rock with influences from Brazilian music, classical, an incredible career. Now, I just want to start off with a few questions of my own, and then I'm going to send it to you guys so we can hear your questions. But I'm very interested in your creative process. When you start to work with a film, how do you start playing the first notes? How does the creative process start for you? Working with a director, a production company. Talk to me a little bit about how you compose for a film.
Do you want me to answer in English or in Portuguese?
Let's do in Portuguese first, and then I'll translate.
Não sei, eu acho que tem Tim aqui, que é um cara que sabe, né? Ser um grande produtor de cinema, eu posso falar. Tem uma grande luta entre o cara que faz a música e o diretor.
He says there's a big collaboration. Battle, I guess. Battle between the film composer and the director.
O diretor sempre quer a música para poder fazer o filme.
The director always wants the music right away to make the film.
E o compositor sempre quer o filme para poder fazer o filme.
And the composer always wants the film. I want to see the film so that I can work on the soundtrack.
E geralmente o diretor ganha.
Normally the director wins.
Mas é uma delícia, o processo criativo é sempre um prazer. Acontece comigo uma coisa interessante, quando eu trabalho em cima de sinopse, eu geralmente me ferro. Quando eu racionalizo em cima de sinopse, roteiro, eu não consigo tanto sucesso quando eu me abstraio completamente.
He says that when he works from a script or a synopsis given by a director, he has a hard time working with the words on a page.
Let's say the results are not so good as
when you look at
when I get completely abstracted.
It gets very abstract, as he said.
I don't know why.
So, in other words, you prefer to have footage from the director in order so that it can begin the creative process. So in other words, if you get a little lost with the script, the synopsis, you prefer to get the images from the film so you can begin to create.
The footage is necessary, the first rational approach. But the problem is there's the magical click only comes when I throw away all the work done, sometimes very huge work. I say rational, and let the intuitive mind take over. And this a long step during the creative process. But I learned not to throw away anything that I do or think about a soundtrack, because I know something that goes to the garbage today can be your salvation tomorrow. It's unbelievable. This happens, and something that you think that's going to be so.
Because as the film is being edited and new things are being added to the film, so you always like to...
not because this, because of this battle between the rational creation and the intuitive creation. It's an octave higher, octave higher. This supermind. It's unbelievable, but it's not so easy to channelize this energy, you know. Sometimes you're inside a process that involves politics, bureaucracy, full of egos, and all these are pollutants, you know, these are toxic waste that we have to digest before channelizing the pure energy. And I know this happens. I see many movies that I talk to myself, man, how this guy lost himself completely? How? Because it's a good movie because of this, you know.
And because, of course, filmmaking there are so many details, and it's so easy to get lost in the process.
Responsibility sometimes cuts this fluency. And in this, the word twice around, mundo em duas voltas, I had a very interesting experience because tá bom assim falar inglês, todo mundo entende?
It's perfect. I mean,
Eh?
So, yes, I guess it's good.
It's good to learn English. It's a good. Some Brazilians here they don't talk.
Estou tentando ler a legenda, não consigo. Eu consegui, né? Tinha legenda, tá tendo
If you guys want to take, we have some seats here in case you guys want to come down. Okay, so feel free to come down and take some seats. I want to ask you some more specific questions about this movie. The soundtrack, of course, is beautiful, and you do have a theme that runs through it, as well as compositions that take from different cultures that have a lot to do with different places that they visit. How did that happen? How did you create the soundtrack for this film? How was the creative process for this particular film?
I don't like mixing, but I think they didn't take advantage of so much sonic material. As Steve must have noticed this, because he does a work of this. And these guys, they had so much good material they don't use. There are two soundtracks of this. One tells the story of Fernando de Magalhães at the 16th century. I have built some very interesting instruments to do this old soundtrack. That ones are Latina guitarra, that are instruments of the times of the sailing ships from the 16th century. It's a small triangle guitar with 4-string, and they played in the caravelas. They used to play. And the other, the grandfather of the fiddle, it's called habab, the Arabian medieval instrument that came to Europe through the Crusades, and the 16th century, it sounded like the vihuelas that were the first family before the strings that will give birth to our string sessions today. So these are real sounding, this guitarra latina and the habab. One bowed and another picket string. And the other were fantasy, choral harmonies.
Orchestras.
Yeah, this. But this soundtrack, when I talk about the trip of Fernando de Magalhães. And the other soundtrack is very good to do because completely free. David Schumann, the director, gave me total freedom, and I'm not accustomed to have freedom because my other partners are they're kind of musicians, so it's difficult. So this film was very easy to do because he came with this material recorded live. They were in Polynesia and they recorded the Hawaiian people beating and people in Africa. So I had just to add some harmony and to get fantasy up over that. It was so good.
It also was probably a good experience because you had all this music, this richness, cultural richness, and you
For me,
added
it was
to
a therapy, completely therapy. Sometimes it's difficult. We get to do a work when you can, how to say, to amuse yourself, divertir. É uma coisa boa. Muitas vezes o trabalho não deixa a gente ter uma diversão. Às vezes a responsabilidade é tão grande. Eu sinto isso aqui na América, né? Porque o americano tem muito isso. O americano é muito sério no trabalho. Às vezes ele deixa de divertir. Nós latinos temos uma facilidade maior em divertir no trabalho. Mas aí o trabalho artístico tem essa vantagem, né? De nos proporcionar. Principalmente quando você tem um chefe, né? ou a pessoa que está dirigindo geral, uma pessoa mais afável, fica mais fácil.
Yeah, he's saying that he had a great time working with this film. A lot of times you're working on a film, the responsibility is so huge that you don't quite enjoy the film as much as, but fortunately he had the experience to enjoy the work here. He was able to create, to have the freedom to create and enjoy at the same time, without having to deal with the time constraints and demands and so forth. And he thinks that perhaps here in America, because of the business is very serious and sometimes people don't get to enjoy things, their work as much as perhaps they should. Just one last question before I give it to the audience. As working with the director, how much footage did you get along the way as you were composing? How was the process of watching the footage, getting the sound track from the local people? How did you put it all together, having so many things happening at the same time? Did you have a timeline of how you wanted to create it, or did you create specific soundtracks for particular scenes and then you put it together as a whole at the end?
They change all the time. Because they were editing the movie was getting too long. They changed the edition. It took us 2 years to complete this. 2 years in non-stop work.
Non-stop work.
Go and come back. Go and come back again. You know, and all footage that I follow us from the way, but much material was recovered and re-edited.
You had done your homework.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Enough of me.